everyone, it's Meg, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys some books I have read recently. It has literally been a hot second since I last did one of these videos. I only filmed one last month in January, but I have some more books to share with you guys today. I have 6 books to talk to you guys about today, so hopefully I can go into depth a little bit with more of them. But yes, I've got a variety of books to show you again. I've got YA, I've got books written in verse, I've got graphic novels, I've got non-fiction, so I'm really excited to share these with you guys. So without further ado, let's get into the video. First up, I have All About Mia by Lisa Williamson. I picked this up from the bookshop last month and I read this so quickly. I haven't read a book by Lisa in a while since her debut, which was At My Normal Yet, and I really enjoyed that. And I didn't realise how much I missed her writing. Her writing is so easy to read, so easy to get through. It's a really quick read, this book, and it's just such a nice writing style to get into. This book is basically about a girl named Mia who is a middle sister. She has an older sister who is destined to go to Cambridge, and she has a younger sister who's destined to go and swim in the Olympics. And Mia's just kind of in the middle, and she doesn't really have a thing. She doesn't really know what she wants to do with her life. She doesn't feel like her parents value and care about her as much as they do with her siblings. And this is just basically a coming of age story about Mia trying to find her place, as she is always told that she is too much, when in fact she never feels enough. And this leads her into situations that are quite embarrassing, I must admit. She tries to give her attention to people in a way where she feels like she's wanted, even though it's not actually how it seems, and she is very careless in that sort of sense. She acts like she's really hard and tough, but in the inside, like I said, she doesn't feel like she's enough. She doesn't feel worthy, and whenever somebody suggests something to her, such as something nice, like they give her a compliment or say, oh, you're really good at this, maybe you should try doing this, and she just brushes it off instantly. She just puts up a big wall, and you really grow to love Mia. She's an extremely imperfect character. She, like I said, she substitutes different ways of getting affection and attention off other people, which isn't necessarily right. But I feel like this is just a really amazing coming of age story, and it's a book that you really get attached to with the characters. You learn to all love them for their flaws and everything, and I love Mia's friends as well, and they are slightly more sensible compared to Mia. And even though Mia acts really tough and like she doesn't care, she does have a soft spot for her younger sister Audrey, which I absolutely love. I love the little affection that she has for her and how much she cares about her. I think that is just so sweet, and I feel like this is a really good book. Again, if this is kind of like a self-discovery coming of age story, and I feel like this is a very good book, obviously especially for teens if you are in high school, as it's a book of trying to find your place in the world, like with your family. Family is a big part of this book, obviously, and I just really enjoyed this book. Even though it's not really been that long since I've read it, I'm actually struggling trying to remember what I talked about it, but I did actually talk about it a bit more in a reading vlog that I did a few weeks last month, so I'll leave it in the description if you guys wanted to go and check that out. But I really enjoyed this book, and I cannot wait to read more of Lisa's work. I can't believe I left it so long since I have read more of her work, but I really enjoyed this novel, so I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Next up, I had Daughter of the Siren Queen by Trisha Levenseller. I included the first book in this duology, The Daughter of the Pirate King, in my last recent reads video. I really enjoyed it, so obviously I started the second book straight away. And this is a book I still did really enjoy. Obviously I can't talk about it too much because spoilers, but I didn't enjoy it quite as much as the first book. I didn't get through it quickly enough. Not that I wasn't engaged, some bits I wasn't as engaged. It's a bit more action-packed than the other book, which there is nothing good or bad about that, but there's just some bits of the story that I didn't like as much as the other one. But you still get to love the characters, and it's just is still a super fun, action-packed, steamy, romantic, funny book, and like I said in my last recent read video, I really love the audiobooks for this duology, so if you are ever looking to pick these books up, I definitely recommend the audiobook. I think it is absolutely fab. So yes, I did enjoy it, not quite as much as the first book, but I still really enjoyed it nonetheless, so again I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Next up we have a book that is written in verse, and that is The Black Flamingo by Dean Atter. This is a book I've seen float around on BookTube a little bit, and it's a book that I've really been intrigued by, mainly for the fact that it is written in verse and also because it deals with drag culture, and those are two things that I love. So I picked it up and well, I did enjoy this book, and it is in a different format because the only other book I've read in verse so far is The Poet X by Elizabeth Azevedo, one of my favourite books of all time, one of my favourite books of last year, and I don't know whether it's because I had such high hopes for this book that I didn't connect with it as much as I thought I would. This book is in a slightly different format to The Poet X. There's no names for the poems. It also includes things like text. There's a few bits of illustrations, I guess, throughout the book as well, and it kind of goes in a flow, if you see what I mean. They're more like chapters, I guess, instead of having names for each poem, and that's just a different layout. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but I just didn't connect with the story as much. I guess obviously I couldn't really connect with the main character, but I just didn't like the story as much. It didn't deal with... I didn't realise that the story was going to be over such a long period of time. It starts from when our main character, Michael, is born up till when he goes to university when he's 18, and I don't know, it's really difficult because this book actually put me in a reading slump, which I'm really sad about. Like, I don't hate this book at all, but I feel like it's just because I was forcing myself to read it. I was still enjoying it. I still gave this book 4 out of 5 stars because I still did really enjoy it. But I guess it's just because my connection wasn't what I thought it would be, and it didn't live up to the expectations that I had. So I just kept reading it and forcing myself to read it even when I didn't want to. So I was in a bit of a reading slump after reading this book, which I'm so gutted about, but I still did really enjoy it. I feel like it deals with so much diversity, such as the LGBTQ+, and also it deals with drag society as well, and racism and race in general, and it was a book that I really enjoyed, and I feel like it also has a very important message and a lot of other people will be able to relate to, but I guess this book just didn't live up to my expectations, which is why I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would and didn't connect with it like I thought I was going to. But I still think it is a really lovely and important read, so I still gave it a 4 out of 5 stars even though it put me in a reading slump. Next up we have an audiobook, and that is Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk. And this is a business book, and I watch and am subscribed to a couple of like entrepreneur business YouTube channels, and they're all like women power, all about the entrepreneur, and I absolutely love it. And this is a book, if they talk about books, they always talk about Gary Vaynerchuk, and this is one of the main books. And I didn't really know much what it was about. I knew it was a business book, I knew that so many people had loved it, and the audiobook was only 3 hours, so I decided to pick it up. And it was okay. Like, this book is quite old, I think. I'm not sure when it came out, but I feel like it came out quite a number of years ago. And what it was talking about, it mainly talked about social media, which was something I wasn't expecting it to talk about as much. And I guess even though people really enjoyed this book, I feel like now it's probably quite dated, which was probably why I didn't find a lot of the content and what the book was talking about very useful, because I knew a lot of it already. And Gary narrated this book, so he did go off on a few tangents that weren't included in the book, which I liked, and I feel like it was nice to be able to listen to him read the book instead of somebody else do it. But I guess it just wasn't a book that was very relevant because I know a lot of the knowledge. Like, it was interesting hearing his stories about how he came to grow his businesses and all of that sort of thing, and how he started off, but it just wasn't very relevant. It's quite a dated book, I think, and like I said, I knew quite a lot that was already in it, so I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars. But Gary does have another book called Crushing It, I think, which I still want to read. I've got it on audiobook, so I'll probably pick it up as well. So yeah, like I said, I feel like just because if I'd read this maybe a number of years ago, I would have found it more useful, but nowadays it's not a book that I probably won't be returning to it, but I can see how it probably would have been a very important and helpful book for entrepreneurs when it was first published. And the last 2 books I have are graphic novels, and they're both from the same series. So first off, we have Heartstopper Volume 2 by Alice Oseman. This was a reread for me because obviously the 3rd volume came out in February, and this is when I was in my reading slump. I didn't really know what to read, so I decided to pick up the 2nd volume of Heartstopper, also because then I could kind of refresh my memory and reread it before the next volume came out. And I loved this reread. Like, it helped me with my reading slump a bit, which is great. And this is just such a cute and wonderful story that I feel like is just the best with it, especially if you are not feeling great or if you're in a reading slump. I feel like it's just a wonderful book to pick up. If you don't know what this series is about, it is a graphic novel series about 2 boys named Nick and Charlie who go to an all-boys school, and they become friends, and then they start to develop a relationship, and it just goes off from there. And like I said, I love this series. It's absolutely adorable. Charlie and Nick are 2 precious little beans, and I love the topics that this book discusses. The 1st and the 2nd one mainly discuss obviously sexuality and bullying, and I loved it, and I'm so glad that I got to reread it. And I gave this 5 out of 5 stars again, obviously. And then of course I picked up the 3rd volume of Heartstopper, and oh my god, I love this book even more. Like, well, can I say even more than the first 2? Like, maybe on par. Like, it's just amazing, the series, like so good. So again, I can't really say much about this novel because spoilers, but I guess you can't tell by the cover. They go on a school trip to Paris, and Paris isn't a place that I like. It's my least favourite city. I went there quite a few years ago and I wasn't a fan, but like watching Charlie and Nick and their friends go and travel and explore Paris, like, it gave me super travel wanderlust vibes, and it actually made me kind of want to go back to Paris, even though I'm not a massive fan of the city. But it was just so cute, and I love, like I said, I love the travel aspect in there. And this book also covers a lot more deeper topics than the other 2 books do, which I really enjoy. This book covers mental health, specifically self-harm and eating disorders, so just be aware of that before going into this book. And it also delves into Nick and Charlie's relationship in a much deeper sense. They are learning things about each other and get to know each other on a much more deeper level, which I really enjoyed. And it's obviously Nick is still on his journey with his sexuality, and it also deals with coming out and coming out on your own terms and whether you kind of want to come out officially at all. And I loved so many of the discussions that were brought up in this book, and I also loved how you get to see more of Nick and Charlie's friends like Tara and her girlfriend, and also Elide and Teo and Ellie, and it's just really nice to see kind of their friendship bloom and see their friendship grow, and also see all the relationships between the different characters grow. And it was just so wonderful. I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, I really enjoyed the more serious tone that this book brought, because even though it is a super cute romance book, it does definitely have much more of a deeper meaning, which I really enjoyed. And I feel like Alice did it in such an amazing way, and I'm so excited to read the final volume which next year, which is so sad that it's come to an end. But there is actually a novella that is meant to be coming out, a Nick and Charlie novella that's meant to come out in September, which is kind of like a novel with a few graphic novel strips in, which is so exciting, so I cannot wait to get that. And obviously I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, just like the rest of the books in this series. I love them to pieces. It is a series that I will be returning to throughout the years. I love it with all of my heart, and if you have not picked this series up yet, please go and do it. They are absolutely amazing and I cannot recommend them enough. So there you have it guys, those are the books that I have read recently. I feel like I've been a little bit tongue-tied since when I was describing these books. I don't know, it's just one of those filming days where I can't get my words out, but I hope you guys enjoyed hearing me talk about these books all the same. There have been some really wonderful books that I have read over the past couple of weeks, and I'm so glad that I got to read them. Let me know in the comments down below some books that you have read recently. Have you read any of the books that I have read? What are your thoughts on them? As always, I would love to know. If you like this video, then please make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more bookish videos from me, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon so you'll be noted every time I post a new video. As always, I will leave links to my social media along with links to my Goodreads in the description down below for you guys. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you again very soon. Bye!